to individuals and families. There was significant state and local aid in that package. There was a list that came out earlier in the week that showed the distribution of funds to the individual towns in the county, as well as approximately $12 million for the county itself. And the individual towns, some of the towns looked like they might have been receiving proportionately more based on their size, but a town that had a village in it received the money for the village. So, when you looked at a town getting as much as the city of Hudson, in certain case, in Claverick's case, 800,000 each, it was because of the village of Philmont being in Claverick. The package included supplemental unemployment, $300 a week through Labor Day, and also has, under SBA related initiatives, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, additional EIDL loan funds, a small business credit initiative for organizations that are certified as small business investment entities can make loans. And they did expand 50C not-for-profit organizations. Initially, there are only 2 or 3 of the categories of not-for-profits eligible for PPP funding. The Restaurant Revitalization Fund is very important to us here in Columbia County. We are monitoring the SBA's release of process and procedures. We believe it will be based on demonstrating either for a whole year or individual quarters of a year that your revenue as a restaurant was decreased by more than 25%, similar to the PPP money. And we will be working with not only the Chamber of Commerce, but with the Tourism Office to ensure that businesses in the restaurant field that are eligible for these funds are able to access them. In transportation, there were grants for transit agencies, which we don't have. Airports, we do have an airport, and we're checking to see what funds might be available there. Education, we'll defer to Dr. Drummer. $40 billion for higher education. Is there a path to identify how that money might flow to you?
Not yet.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I mean, we're hoping, certainly let's put it this way, the state is got its fingers crossed, because if in fact the stimulus money would come, through in the way that we hope it does, the community colleges cut would only, let's put it this way, the funding that would be available for the community colleges, I believe, is 22 million. So that would be a great help to us, but we don't know where this is going to land yet.
And then on the K through 12 side, Dr. Howard just joined us. I did see that there was funding independent of some of the education money to help cover broadband costs. And so I think that, that's a positive sign, recognizing the tremendous amount of money that the districts in Columbia County have spent in the aggregate to support families who either did not have access to broadband by providing hotspots or by providing funding to pay those families' internet bill so that their children could access remote learning. Have you heard any more, Dr. Howard, how the balance of those funds will flow?
Not at this time.
Yeah. We also have been working with a number of not-for-profit art and cultural organizations on the Stage Act funding. it's appearing that a lot of that money is being allocated in a formula that benefits larger cities, but we are attempting to be sure that local organizations are eligible too. We have monitored the fact that you can now have 75% of people in restaurants. We're starting to see some of the governor's restrictions becoming looser. I think we all talked last week or 2 weeks ago about the 150 person wedding. You now can have 12.2 people at your house at the same time who are unrelated. But we're getting calls about these things and we're fielding them, but they're coming out so frequently that it's hard to keep up. But Liliana Morales, who's on our staff, has been posting information as it becomes available to the Columbia Comeback website. And we did go to an every other week schedule for that newsletter. But again, I think the media is getting a lot of this stuff out. And unfortunately, some of the media that gets out, they don't attach or link to the actual press release. And as you know, many of the press releases are announcing something that they have yet to identify or write procedures or regulations. I think the county is doing a phenomenal job, the health department, in getting the vaccines out to the extent they get them. But as you've seen, 200, 400, 600 shots a week is not going to enable them to get people vaccinated at the pace that they would like. We had a surge 2 or 3 weeks ago of people contracting the virus in the county. Some of that was nursing home related. Some of it was, particular events where a number of people gathered and spread it. So there's still a strong incentive and a strong messaging to keep your mask on and keep your social distance. Although I thought I heard last night that the CDC may be coming out with 3-foot distances instead of 6-foot distances. I mean, these nuances, just stay away from each other. The other thing we saw was that the CDC is, I think it's as of April 1st, if you're traveling from state to state, the New York quarantine rules will be suspended. And again, I think we're going to have to all watch this stuff to see, what are the impacts of any of it as people, do get vaccinated. So there's a lot out there. I know we have our regular audience, Liz and Carly and Neil and our staff. So thank you. I want to thank again Oswaldo at the county for coordinating the program with technology. And if there are any questions, we're happy to field them. And if not, other areas that you'd like us to go and get more information on.
Yeah, I think we're all just waiting to see what they come up with next. I know that, as far as weddings and stuff, they've come out with some new stuff. It's not officially on the state site yet, so we're kind of waiting to see if stuff will change again come April. So yeah, it's just like a weekly thing at this point. Like we kind of have an idea what's going on and we're going to see what's happening next. So yeah, I think all of us on here are fairly aware of what's going on and keep updated. But yeah, it's just a little frustrating when I'm dealing with, as you can imagine, I've got my 21 couples who, we're trying to look a few months out. So we, do we need to reschedule? Do we need to push back? So it's been a little bit of a challenge. I know we're all dealing with our own challenges, but I'm trying to, these brides and grooms want certainties in an uncertain world. So it's been a fun time. But
I don't think it's limited to brides and grooms.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a hard time. And it's also hard, again, I have a background in healthcare. So it's like, I'm very empathetic to all my healthcare people, and my sister-in-law is a teacher, and there's all these different things happening in the world that's being affected by this, and it's like I'm trying to be really what's the word I'm looking for? Feeling bad for these couples, but at the same time, I'm just thinking to myself, okay, in the grand scheme of things, you have to push back your party. It's like I'm trying to do my job the best I can, but yeah, it's a challenge at times. But yeah, I think you're right. We just have to see week to week what's changed and what actually gets officially put up on the site is like the word.
And it's going to be very confusing because, as you recall, when the reopening started initially in phases, you would go to the governor or the state's going forward website and see if rules or criteria or protocols were established. They're starting to send people back there, but when I went there, it doesn't appear that they've cleaned up the website from when
No,
you were.
and they've been adding things to each phases. We noticed that a
Yeah.
few months ago. That again, it looks like it's the same, but then they've quietly added a few things
Yeah.
into the phase. So I wish they would maybe highlight their additions or list them separately, so we could it would be easier to navigate because it is hard
Yeah.
to see if they've
'Cause
added something.
I noticed that the other day.
Yeah.
Because and sometimes they're inserting it rather than putting it at the bottom. At least if it was at the
Right.
bottom.
That's what I mean. So we could
Roll.
see that it was an addition, not just like kind of plop it into the language. Right.
The other issue that's become somewhat concerning is, I did reach out to several of the large vacant big box and shopping mall sites in Greenport, looking for a place where the third-party vendor that the state has retained to do all of these tests that the wedding guests and other prom guests and other groups are supposed to go for the quick test in advance of the event. And, I think that no one was interested because, insurance and rent and all these things. And, the state initially was asking us to find people who would do it for free, but we're still working on that. And I have read and participated in one webinar with hospitality types where, how are we going to manage this? Somebody shows up and says they've just had the test and they're fine. I mean, you're gonna have to take their word for it based on.
Well, what we're doing with the weddings is I was on a call with like 36 venues the other day, and venues that have, so we require a wedding planner. So for us, the wedding planner is helping to coordinate with the family and the guests beforehand, because obviously they need to have the results in enough time. They can't just show up and not have a result. So we've kind of created and I'll share it with you. Created like a tracking, like a sheet. So basically it would have, Mrs. Jane Smith, Mr. John Smith, check off that they've either had a negative test or that they've had the vaccine and second dose of vaccine and are 2 weeks out. But they're going to have to show either to the wedding planner or us some kind of like their card from vaccination or the confirmation that they've gotten a negative test. So yeah, it can't just be word of mouth. We don't keep that documentation, but we need to have eyeballs on it to check it off.
Mhm.
And all of this needs to be, so this was a bigger conversation for venues and for weddings, like whose responsibility is it? And yeah, and then we're supposed to temperature check them at the door. So if they show up to the door and have a temperature, we can't let them in anyway.
Yeah.
So
But it's going to be difficult, and I know at the schools you're going through this, and I'm sure it will be everywhere. Neil?
Yeah, so we will be doing the rapid antigen test at the school before the prom, and we do have those available to us, and we have the ability to buy those or negotiate to get those from Questar and also the Department of Health.
great.
So we're already testing high risk athletes and coaches right now, and we report those to the Eclairs system at the state health department. So it's just going to be a larger group. So depending upon the venue, how many they can take is probably what we'll do.
Right, because under 100 people in April, you don't have to have proof of testing or vaccination. It's 101 people to 150 that you have to have the proof.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll have more than that because we didn't have the prom last year.
Right.
I know the advisors are talking with the classes, class officers and the student council, and the kids now coming up with some sort of parameters. But we'll do what we need to do.
Well, and I do think the burden and the added cost to everyone in this process is high enough, but without clear direction and finding out after you all do it that A, you didn't do it right, or D, you didn't need to do it, it's going to be very frustrating.
I think though, you make a good point, Michael, but there's a certain amount of peace of mind,
Yeah.
knowing the negative and, some of the guidance I was reading with, table pods, potentially of 10 and not dancing with anyone outside your table pod in order to
Yeah.
reduce the contact tracing. I have found that, the Department of Health is not quarantining in that manner. If you're in the room for more than a 15-minute period of time, the whole place is going to get quarantined.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
So
not
yeah, Neil,
crossing.
that's very interesting because on these calls the other day, I mean, that's the problem because right now, if like four people show up in a car to a wedding and they're like a pod, we have to sit them at a table together. We have to seat the next people 6 feet distanced. We can have them dancing, but they have to dance with that four people pod, and then we have to distance whoever else is on the dance floor. So yeah, it's so challenging. Yeah, I feel your pain on that. It's yeah.
They've made exceptions for buses for one child to sit in a seat. You look at the airflow dynamics. Well, we have engineered airflow out here, probably the best in the county. Our MERV 13 filters, we do all. We've spent some money on it, and we think we're doing okay.
Yeah, you're
But
ahead of the game. Yeah.
but then to have some of these, um, I'm going to say restrictions imposed based on feelings and on supposition and not based in reality. It's or I'm gonna okay. I'll put it this way: facts. And I just worry that sometimes we're following the wrong feelings and not following the facts.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to get everybody COVID test, so say it's a situation where everybody's getting COVID tested or proof of vaccine, that's like a lot of my brides are like, okay, so if my 120 people are all have proof that they got a negative test or got the vaccine, why can't everybody at that closed wedding not have to do, again, have to pod, have to do, all this kind of stuff? And I didn't have a legit answer for them. I mean, I understand that people are coming from different places and stuff. If you have under 100 people and you're not requiring testing and you're not requiring proof of vaccination, it's a little bit different thing. I mean, this is an airborne illness, so you want to be careful. But if you're going to have to require the testing, I really don't have a good answer for my couples because it's like this is not a restaurant where other patrons are coming in. This is like you said, a prom or a closed event where these people are together and that's who's there. So
Yeah.
I don't have answers.
Yeah. Well, we certainly understand both the need to have peace of mind and do it, but it is incredibly confusing and difficult. So
Well, hopefully we'll get some more information in the next few weeks. Maybe it'll be better.
Well, I'm told that some information is going to come out extending the 3-month period
Yeah.
from the vaccine from the 14 days to full force after the second vaccine. They say that's only up to 3 months, but the information that we're being led to believe is that that's going to be extended quite a bit further.
we heard that as well. That was just an initial concern because they didn't have the scientific testing data on it.
Right. Okay, we'll keep each other posted.
Anything else, Dr. Drummer?
I don't think so, other than the Columbia County Department of Health is continuing to do its part with getting the vaccines in arms, using the college as a site. There are 4 pods, as they say. Pardon the expression about pod, the way they use that, but in the vaccination world, it's the point of distribution. But
Right.
anyway, they have 4 pods this week. Last week, they administered more than 700 doses. So right now, since January 3rd, when we first started partnering with DOH, at least at the college's venue, they have administered more than 5,000 doses of the vaccine. So, and with this week's pod scheduled, I imagine they're going to get probably beyond 6,000. So anyway, it's been great for our second-year nursing students because they've been taking part in administering the vaccine, which is a great experience for them. But we're struggling right now with getting ready for the fall semester. Our fall registration opens on March 22nd, which is a week from today. And I would love to know if they're going to, like if they're going to lessen the social distancing regulations, from 6 feet to 3 feet. That means that we could have more people on campus in classes. Right now, the largest classroom, besides the lecture hall can hold 20 students, and the largest classroom, which we don't have very many of those, can hold 12. The other classrooms hold 10. So you don't have to be a genius to do the math on that. That's not fiscally sustainable to run a class with 10 people. So anyway, as you said, we
Yeah.
are just waiting, taking it one day at a time, and rolling with the punches, because that's all we can do right now.
Those upper arms are a lot better than oranges, practicing giving shots. Huh?
That's right.
Well, again, thank you. We certainly appreciate your consistent participation in this. It benefits us as well because we get the input from college's perspective, the K through 12 and the event venues. And I don't see anyone else here, but if I've missed anyone, please let me know. If not, we'll see you in 2 weeks, but we'll probably see you in some other capacity sooner. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Mike.
Lisa.
Stay well,
Thank you,
everybody.
Eliana.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
Oswaldo.